Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum lunchtime edition, right? Lunchtime edition. So, anyway, happy pre-holiday. If anybody here in the States, 4th of July holidays coming up. So last day before the holiday, probably won't do a show tomorrow. But the other day, my son, by the way, my son's going to start his own business. We'll see how it goes. I'll share that, how that adventure turns out as he develops it. And he asked me, he says, Dad, would you help back me up if I start this business and help me out? I'm like, sure. Right. So I want to, and that triggered a thought. If I was going to hire people on a Scrum team, I can't even talk. What would I want to ask them? Right. How would they want to be like Bubbles? Bubbles is on the picture. I say, Bubbles, we're starting the show. Next thing I know, she's here. She's ready to help whatever she needs to do. And she just moral support sitting here next to me right now. So what would I ask them? So I got a scenario that I'm going to share with you on what I would ask not only a team, but you could twist it a little bit and ask about a manager. If you were going to hire a manager for a Scrum team, what would you ask them, right? So it's a little bit of a little twist for both. It covers both areas. You just change a word or two around it, and it becomes a different question for a different role. So the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a very practical, tactical way. Today is We Team Wednesday with HR Twist. So we do We Team HR Wednesdays on Wednesday. So it has a little bit of everything in it, how to build a team, what kind of questions you would want. We do this so we can bring more value to our customers and ourselves, not work so hard to get that value, and also have a little fun along the way. And as I said, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday. I don't know if we're going to do a show tomorrow. Probably not because of the holiday. Lots of things planned. It'll be crazy. It's supposed to be a relaxing day, but it ain't going to be a relaxing day. It is what it is. So what are we talking about? So my son, Eddie, he's going to start a business, which will be interesting. I'll have a new role. I'll put it on LinkedIn. Everyone will laugh. It'll give you a kicker. Hi, Bubbles. What are you doing, Bubbles? You sitting? Okay. And he asked me a new role, and it made me think about what would I want to ask people to hire if I was going to be on a team for a Scrum team. So I'm going to share a scenario. I think I've given this before, but it's a question. How do you do this, and how do you create some transparency? It's something the team should have, so it works for new hires, existing people on the team, hiring managers, and this works either way. So it's a good HR question for those in the HR world hiring Scrum people or even team members as a case. So in Scrum, and we look at a backlog, people will pick up work. Sometimes they get assigned work and can go either way, whatever the team likes, whatever the company does. Yeah, I've seen both. Some things are faster than the other one, depending on what you think. And they would pick their work, do their work. When they get done their work, the question comes up, what do you do next? And this is where the scenario is. So here's the scenario. You got your work, you finished what you had today, right? You got done something. What should you do next? How do you figure out what's your next piece of work to be done? Now, this is like a question for the team, and I'll give you another manager version of it shortly thereafter. So when I coach teams, I like to have them have a workflow agreement, part of their team working agreement, where it's very transparent. Here's how it goes. And here's the scenario. Here's what I try to get them to do this. Some teams do it and they do it really well, and some teams don't do it. And so it's a win. The teams that do it do really well. The teams that don't do it are really slow. I'll give you that. I'll just lay that out there. So here's the scenario. You finish your work. What should be the next step is before you pick up something else in the backlog, you should always check with your teammates to see if anybody needs any help with anything existing in the backlog. Why? Because as a team, you get credit for all the stuff done as a team. So when you finish your work, you go ask your teammates, do you need something? Because the more the team does, the more everyone looks good, right? If you go pick up another thing, but if someone else is struggling, are you a real team player? So this is where the scenario, are you a team player and you can grade people on this? Not a good team player. They just go get their own work. If the boss says, well, okay, we'll do the boss scenario. So this is a scenario. So you should ask if anybody needs help. If nobody needs help, then if you have something else in your list of things to do, you could do that. There's an option here. Or you can ask the product owner or whoever's there, is there any changes in priorities before I go start my next thing that's on my list? They say no, but then that's a delay. So ideally you go help somebody. If nothing, you go work the stuff you got to do. If you have nothing in your backlog, then you would ask the product owner, is there something else that needs to be done? Or ask your team, do you want to move something into my bucket that you're working on, but you're not going to get to it? Things like that. That's the teamwork way of doing it, right? If there isn't anything that the product owner will do something, that's a whole nother, how do you manage the backlog? And we talk about that another day. But that's the scenario. So you can pick another thing right away. Or do you ask your teammates, does anybody need help? Or is there something that a new priority that I need to address before I start the next one on my list, right? I would just ask, does anybody need help? I'd go get coffee, come back. And if no one answers, I'll go do the next thing. Really, that's the limit on that. And you can put that in your team working agreement. It's like, yeah, I'm going to ask that question. Then I'm going to go get coffee or some juice or whatever I want to do. Take a walk. I'm going to take a 5-minute walk, come back. If no one responds, I'm going to the next thing. It's really a good time to actually take a break, by the way. So that's a good scenario. How do you envision that working, right? If you were on a team and you got finished your work, what would the scenarios be? How would you progress picking on your next job, right? Do they ask the team? Do they go pick something else? They go jump right into it. They go ask permission. How would they envision it? The highest performing ones would be ask the team if anybody needs help, then pick the next one on the list and probably take a break in between, just to step away, right? So here's the highest performing. Finish your job, put out there, does anybody need any help? Take a little break, 5-minute break. No one responds, go take the next thing on your list. Highest performing output there is. If there's nothing else in your list, then you ask the team, is there anything else in our sprint backlog that I can do? They would do that. If there's nothing in sprint backlog, then you ask the product owners, is there something that we need to bring into the backlog from the future backlog that I should work, or should I just work on process improvement? Those are the options, right? You might want to do some process improvement or say, hey, I'm going to do some process improvement. So that's one area. Now, if you're a manager, okay, so now this is a scenario for the manager. We said it's the same thing. Got an employee, did their work. Should they ask you first what to do next? If you say yes, then you don't have transparency set up on your team. The transparency, well, no, we have a rule. They go ask the team. When they ask the team if there's nothing there, they go do the next thing on their list. If there's nothing on their list, they can come ask me. But they shouldn't come to me and ask me what to do next. If the manager says they should ask me what to do next, then they don't have a system in place, nor do they know how to put a system in place to keep the flow of the work moving. See how that works? That's how you measure a good manager for a Scrum team or a Scrum Master. If they have to come to you to ask what to do next, then it's not set up for management. We're supposed to manage and make it flow, so they don't have to ask you. You do not want to be the bottleneck as a manager, right? So that's that scenario. So those are the two HR things in there. Now, as a team, this should all be transparent for the team. So there is no dwell time waiting for someone to respond, and it really gets into, like Eddie asked me, would you help me out? I said, sure, right? You want to hire people that think about the team first and the overall group and not just themselves. Like, I can go in and fix bugs, or I can just keep doing my stuff and keep my head down and not paying any attention to the rest of the team, nor look for process improvements or anything like that, right? In the Scrum and the IT, because we have to compete with all this stuff, we have to keep ahead of the curve. So you got to ask if other people need help, maybe do some process improvement, get the next thing on the list. If you're done all your things, is there any process improvement you can do before you go picking something from another part in the sprint or another sprint? Depends, right? So those are the two scenarios. One, they should ask, okay, the scenario is you finished your work. Now what? What do you envision? What would be the optimal approach for you taking your next piece of work? Do you just go to the backlog? Do you pull from the next sprint, right? There's different scenarios. You can change it around a little bit. You say, okay, so one question is, you finish with your work, but you don't have anything in the backlog. What should you do next, right? And in that scenario, they might say, they should go, well, I'm going to check with the team, see if anybody needs help. I'm going to check if there's any process improvement I can do. Then I'll ask the product owner or actually the team, is there any work that I should pick up on that you're not going to get to that I can help build the overall for this sprint to get done, right? Then you ask the product owner, is there something outside of the sprint that you want me to work on? Because the goal of a team is to complete that. So that's that scenario, right? That's the ultimate scenario. And there may be derivations of that, but it's a question of, are they a team? Do they ask the team? They want the team to achieve, or do they go, I'm just going to ask my boss, hey, I did everything I had. I did everything I have. Can you give me something else? Well, then it's telling me whether or not how mature you are to be able to identify, help out, go capture your own work. What if the boss was on vacation? What would you do? Or do you just go grab, and that was something I had to train some teams, grab something from a future sprint? Well, no, we got to finish everything in our sprint before we go grab another thing to sprint. Unless the team says it's okay to go grab something from another sprint, don't do it, right? So anyway, I wanted to share that with you today on our We Team HR Wednesday, as how do you judge someone to be a good teammate? Like I said, my son asked me if I'd help out. I said, sure, I'll help out. I know I'm going to have to work a little extra hard, but that is the nature of the game. So you ask, how do you hire new people on your Scrum team? From an HR, a couple new scenarios that you can ask, even for hiring a manager. Do they say they have to come to me first to get the next thing to do? Or do they say, well, I have a system in place where they should be able to pick, and this is kind of how I set things up and try to work there. If they have questions, they can ask me, but I really want them to work within a sprint. Or do I just let them go? Well, they should know they can go whatever sprint in the whole backlog and go pick something out. That's the response. That's not good either. So I wanted to share that with you today. Again, I want to wish happy holidays, everyone who celebrate the 4th of July tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to put an interview out tomorrow night because, to be honest with you, I don't know how many people will be watching it. So I may wait and put it out on, I don't even know if I want to do Friday. It's like a lot of people taking off. Once people take off, they don't really go on the internet. We'll see. Debating. I have an interview that I'm processing right now that I'll have for Thursday, but we'll see how that goes. With that, I want to wish you all the best. Take care. Have a great day. Happy scrumming, and enjoy some family and friends fun time. Bye, everyone. See ya.